The Sports Source Saturday Kickoff is presented by Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville on Callahan Drive and by the Garza Law Firm.
Who's going to go down, though? Who's going to be the biggest loser in the SEC?
Nope, I was just going to say I disagree with that.
Okay. You're trying to win with a defense that you and I can catch passes.
Yeah. For Tennessee's purposes, he's one of the Vols' top targets for a long time.
He's the only coach in their program history that's had a winning record each of his first 5 years.
Hey, no gray, no black, no blue, no
they will be in smoky
serpentine
grays.
yellow or whatever, so there you go.
They will be in smoky grays.
Yeah, they are wearing
Yes.
Yeah, they're wearing smoky grays. Yeah.
Good Saturday morning and welcome into the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. It's the first edition. We're pleased that you joined us here. I am John Pennington, joined by BFL Kevin Simon, BFL Ollie Lane. It was about a year ago you were getting ready on opening day to face Virginia over in Nashville. Look forward to talking to these guys. We are at Rusty Wallace Kia on Callahan Drive. I'm familiar with this place. I bought 5 straight vehicles at Rusty Wallace Kia on Callahan Drive. That's 4 Sorrentos, a Telluride, and I can tell you my next vehicle, also going to be a Kia. Bought right here, because when you buy at Rusty Wallace Kia, you know you're getting the best deal possible. Any Kia deal across the country, they'll beat the price. So if you're looking at Kias, this is the place to buy. Rusty Wallace Kia on Callahan Drive. This segment of our show is called simply, What's the Story? What's the storyline for today? You've got Nico. You've got an offseason that's been dominated by Tennessee baseball and by the basketball team making Elite Eight. But now it's football time. People have been counting down to this Nico thing. James Pierce, the number 1 player in the country by a lot of talk. Kevin, I'll start with you. What's the storyline you're looking forward to see as we go into game 1 against Chattanooga at 12:45?
Well, it's Nico time in Tennessee. In Nico we trust. Coach Heupel has his $8 million man paying $2 million a year for quality quarterback play. So it's going to be his time to shine, his era. For me, the thing that I'm really going to be looking for is, can Heupel and this offense get back on track, running at tempo, and scoring at a prolific rate like they did in 2022 with Hendon Hooker, where they averaged 46 points a game. Yeah. We saw a dip a year ago, a 2-touchdown dip, which is significant. They averaged 31 points a game in 2023. I think keeping Cooper Mays healthy. But also just Nico and the wide receivers, they're the ones that carry the burden for how this team's going to go. It's an offensive-led team in the vision of Art Browse and what they had going on with RG3 and at Baylor. So to see if we can get back to that tempo and ride to Tennessee glory and make a run at a playoff run this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's one of those things that people all around the country, when you see them write about Tennessee, they talk about, well, the defense is going to have to improve. The defense was just fine last year. Defense was good enough. You could have used some improvement, but it was fine. It was your offense that did the dip. 2 touchdowns is a huge hole, so I'm glad you brought that up. That is a major storyline. Ollie, Tennessee playing Chattanooga today. It's an FCS opponent. We saw what happened last year against Austin Peay. You guys kind of sleptwalk through it, maybe. Yeah. When you look at Chattanooga, I think Tennessee's helped by the fact it's the opener. You're going to be focused. But how does Coach Heupel, take us inside the locker room, how does Coach Heupel try and get you guys prepared? Because you're playing a lesser foe. How does he try and keep you guys focused on what you need to focus on to play well against an FCS foe?
Yeah, I think you hit it nail on the coffin right there. It is the opener, so they're going to be excited for it regardless. When you go into these FCS opponents, you already got it in your head like, all right, we're going to win this game. It's almost guaranteed. But, at the same time, in that same sentence, nothing's guaranteed in college football. Anything can happen, like you saw last year. Austin Peay gave us a run for our money when they shouldn't have been in that game to begin with. So I think what you see is just you call back to those kind of instances where it's happened in the past where FCS opponents have surprised teams, and you say, hey, it can happen. We got to be focused, and it's Tennessee versus Tennessee today. We're here to be better than ourselves and play ourselves. It's not really a game against the Chattanooga. It's a game against ourselves, and just being able to go past all the outside noise and just focus on what's important at the time.
Well, folks are excited. It's opening day, Tennessee. Like I said, you had a great offseason with Tennessee Athletics. But the straw that stirs the drink around here is football. It's in the air. We're going to have a fun show today. We got there's 3 of us here. There are 11 more people who are going to be a part of this show. We're going to break down the game in every way, break down the season every way. But in terms of the excitement that's going on, there are a lot of guys that are running through the tee for the first time today, whether it's transfers or freshmen. You guys ran through the tee your first time. What was that like?
So my first time ever going to a Tennessee game was my first start, and that was against MTSU in 2002. You know, when I redshirted in 2001, I never went to a game just because I didn't want to go. So you know, I felt like my time would come, and you know, my first time being in Neyland Stadium and seeing that experience was when I played the first time. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. It's anticlimactic. But when I ran through the tee, I was so locked in on what I needed to do to execute and be at my best for Coach Fulmer, Coach Chavis, and my teammates that I really didn't notice a pageantry. You know, from my experience, I've appreciated running through the tee more after I left. You know, being a coach is like, man, this is pretty cool. But it's a different feel once you're in the moment. I was always locked in on what I had to get done during the game.
What about you, Ollie? What was your first trip through the tee like?
I mean, to put it into words, you can't. You know, it's probably one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. You know, growing up as a Tennessee fan, that kind of whole process meant a lot to me, and then being able to do it just kind of like takes your breath away for a little bit. You know, you're kind of you're in that moment in the tunnel. You hear the noise, but you don't see it yet. And then when you run out and you see everything, especially like at the night games with the fireworks are going up, I mean, it's electrifying. And
from what I understand, there may be some extras when the team comes onto the field. I know that Bandit Lights and those guys are always they're always adding to the stadium experience over there. Hey, we've got a lot of people coming up, as I said. One of those is back at the WATE studios right now to tell you a little bit about what's going on Channel 6 today. It's the SEC on ABC. This is a new thing, triple header of SEC games. Let's kick it back to Channel 6 studios and Reese Van Haften.
Thanks, John. The first week of the SEC on WATE starts with a massive matchup between number 14 ranked Clemson traveling to Athens, Georgia to face the top-ranked Bulldogs. Kickoff is at noon. Shortly after that game ends, Florida will try to pick up a big non-conference win over in-state rival Miami. The first week will end with another ranked matchup between Notre Dame and Texas A&M at 7:30 p.m. The last time these two teams met was in 2001. Remember, that's all on WAT. And of course, the Vols face Chattanooga at 12:45 p.m. We'll start our weekly post-game show tonight after the Notre Dame versus Texas A&M game. We'll have highlights and reaction from all across the SEC. Plus, we'll break down the Vols' first game of the season. Now we'll send it back to you, John.
Thank you, Reese. When we come back, Jimmy Himes is going to get you ready for the Chattanooga game. 3 things you need to know about the Moccasins. That's next on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff.
It's kickoff time in Tennessee.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville, and it's time for you to score the biggest deals of the season. You can get in the end zone with up to $10,000 over KBB value for your trade. And as always, every new Kia comes with Rusty's exclusive 200,000-mile warranty. So draw up the winning play and hurry in today to get up to $10,000 over KBB value for your trade. Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
For 4 generations, A.G. Hines Company has been a pillar of the Knoxville community. And since Albert Hines Sr. opened our doors back in 1920, we've been supplying do-it-yourselfers with revolutionary products and tools. Manufactured stone is lighter, more cost-effective than traditional stone, featuring greater consistency of material and quicker installation times. Cutting-edge materials and tools at affordable prices. That's what we've provided for more than a century at A.G. Hines Company.
I was coming home and a lady hit me head on. It totaled my car, it fractured my right heel, and it bruised me up really badly. The Garza Law Firm, they were very compassionate, but yet they were very detailed. They didn't let me down. They never stopped fighting. It helped me regain confidence in law firms. I would definitely recommend the Garza Law Firm.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
A day on the lake is more than just time on the water. It's a memory, a story that can last a lifetime. And no one makes memories like Madisonville Marine. Terrific prices, first-class customer service, and the area's biggest selection of boats, like G3 John boats, Gator Tough, These rugged boats are durable and dependable, season after season. Center or side console, storage boxes. Custom design your boat for your needs. Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company, so he became an agent to make sure someone is fighting for you. Shop insurance now. See how Chris can give you peace of mind and save you some money. All insurance is not equal. Trust Chris Smith Insurance.
Every Sunday morning, The Sports Source brings you 90 minutes of honest, intelligent Vols coverage. More analysts, more topics, more fun. The Sports Source, Sundays at 11 on WATE TV6 and WATE.com.
There are three things you should know about Tennessee Chattanooga. First off, they have a good FCS program. They were in the FCS playoffs last year. They also have had a winning record in conference play for 5 years in a row. They're favored to win the Southern Conference this year, and their head coach, Randy Wright, has done a really good job. He's the only coach in their program history that's had a winning record each of his first 5 years. So they do have a nice program for their level. Secondly, they've got a really good passing attack. They got a quarterback named Chase Artapias, who is a transfer from UCLA. A year ago, he made all conference. He threw for over 2,600 yards. He threw for over 20 touchdowns. And they've got two really good wide receivers. They got a guy that made All-American last year in Javen Watley. They also have another really good receiver named Sam Phillips. Now those two guys combined for over 3,400 all-purpose yards last year, and they combined for 18 touchdowns. So they can get it done. They got a really good passing attack. Here's the third thing. Chattanooga has played a lot of SEC teams and Power 5 teams for that matter in recent years. Now they hadn't had much success against them, but they have played a lot of them. They played Alabama 14 times. They played Tennessee a bunch, and they've played them twice in the last decade. Now Tennessee won both of those games, 45-0, 45-10. They were easy wins for Tennessee, but Chattanooga's used to these kind of environments. They're used to playing in big stadiums. That doesn't mean they're going to win, but at least they're used to doing it. So they probably won't be as intimidated, perhaps, as maybe some other teams that would come into Neyland Stadium. John, back to you.
Thanks, Jimmy. It's time for a segment we call The 3 Reasons. We go over to the Bandit Lights Bar, new studio we've got. Paige Dower, Dave Hooker, Bob Hodge, Vince Ferrara. Take it away.
Thanks, John. I want to turn our attention now to maybe 3 reasons why we shouldn't fall asleep during what should be a blowout against UT Chattanooga.
I think you got to start with Nico, Nico. And even though he's probably not going to play very deep into this game, or he shouldn't, that guy, fans have been waiting for him. We've been waiting for him for so long. Yeah. As much as you get to see him, as great as he was in that bowl game, absolutely, to me, you start with Nico.
I think you start with Nico, and I think you stay with the quarterbacks too, because I think it's going to be interesting, who is going to be the backup if Nico gets dinged. And I think there's a really good chance that sometime this season Nico gets dinged. He's put on weight. Yeah. But he's a very thin guy. And I mean, you're going to have some defensive lines who are going to have a lot of guys that are going to be playing in the NFL. So that's another reason to pay attention. Okay, Nico's gone. We've got to see him. First time since New Year's Day Bowl. Now, let's see who comes in next.
Bob, I would really like to see Gaston Moore, and I would like to see him out there with some of the first teamers. I don't think that's going to happen because I think Josh Heupel likes stats. He wants to see Nico score 5 touchdowns. I think he thinks about Heisman and stuff like that. And I know Bob's shaking his head. Probably not the best situation to be in, or I guess the stance to have. But when I look at Gaston Moore, I want to see if this offense can run at an okay level with a guy that doesn't have the same ability as a Hendon Hooker or a Nico.
Sure.
So I think it can still be pretty good.
Thank goodness you left out Joe Milton.
Oh, that was an accident, Bob.
But I think talking about the quarterbacks, even Jake Merklinger, and just kind of what the future of that Tennessee quarterback room will look like once, Nico moves on to the NFL in a couple of years. I think it'll be interesting to see kind of what, Jake and these future quarterbacks might be able to contribute.
I think that kind of goes into another reason why you shouldn't fall asleep in this game is all of the backups. There's a lot of young players. There's 5 stars on this team. Yep. And whether it's this year's class, last year's class, that are going to get some snaps in this game, with the rule of the 4 games for redshirt, This is a game where you can get a lot of those guys some snaps. So to me, that's fascinating. Get a look into the future, kind of to your point.
Absolutely. And I think maybe another reason to not fall asleep is I'm really excited about this wide receiver core. There's depth up and down all throughout the entire bench for the wide receiver group. And I think regardless who's out on the field, whether it's a Chaz Nimrod or a Chris Brazel, I think it's going to be really exciting based on the impression that we've been given throughout fall camp.
I'm sorry, Bob.
No, I was just going to say I disagree with that.
You don't.
And here is my reason. I think because Chattanooga is so bad, or should be so bad, and Tennessee should be so much better, it's going to be hard for me to see things like, okay, your receivers are really great because they need to beat these guys, beat them bad. They need to beat them down the field, get behind them, catch touchdown passes. They need to make yards after the catch.
For sure.
So to me, it's going to be hard to judge what the wide receivers are going to be able to do. That's the reason, now, if they're dropping passes, okay, then
that's another story.
Got a problem.
Yes.
But I just think it's going to be tough.
I'm with Bob on that. There's only so much you can take from this game. But one of the things I think you can take is, does Josh Heupel institute any sort of substitution patterns to take 3 receivers out of the game in between series, not during series, which was slow tempo, and put 3 more back in? Because I don't think he's had 6 guys that could play at a high level previously. I think he has that on this group, but it would be a departure from what he's done at Tennessee. That may factor into the Chattanooga game, but we'll see if he actually does it down the road.
And they've talked about playing more guys, right?
Yeah.
When we've asked the coaches. Joey Halsley's mentioned 17 games before.
Yes.
Which would be a tough scenario to do, by the way, 17 games. But anyway, I do think it's interesting to see if they will play those. And by the way, you can't evaluate them good or bad if you've already fallen asleep, Bob. So
that's the reason. Things that keep you interested, caffeine keeps you interested in life. And the other thing I'd like to see, too, is the backfield.
Sure.
I'm talking, your running backs, you've got one guy back there that's really proven. You got a lot of question marks. And true, you're not going to be able to evaluate them just like you can the receivers on some things. But do they hit the hole? What kind of speed do they have? What kind of vision do they have? So you can look and see some of those things, despite the fact the competition is not going to be real good.
I also think Tennessee has 3 competent tight ends. I think you'll see some 2 tight end sets on the goal line, which hasn't been Josh Heupel's norm. I think one of those, Ethan Davis, will be really good. And from a pure ball perspective, Jordan Ross as an edge rusher is a guy that I think we can draw some conclusions off his physical ability. But again, it's against Chattanooga.
I was kind of thinking that earlier too when we were coming in to tape this, was maybe a more generic part of just new faces and new places. I was kind of thinking of Gerard McCoy on defense. When he was at Oregon State, he had 9 pass breakups or a pass defended, and I think it's going to be really exciting to see what he does. But even in the tight end, I mean, essentially that's 3 new guys in the tight end room. Obviously Ethan Davis here a year ago, but no true playing time. So I just think the idea of new faces and new places should keep everyone up for the entirety of the game.
And one other reason to keep watching, they're actually going to be wearing their orange uniforms. Hey, no gray, no black, no blue, no
they will be
smoky
in smoky
serpentine
grays.
Yellow or whatever. So there you go.
They will be in smoky grays.
Yeah, they're smoky grays.
They are wearing smoky
Yes.
Yeah, they're wearing smoky grays. I'm glad to tell you that. But
that's the reason I drink. I didn't know they were wearing smoky gray.
Yeah,
wow.
Unfortunately.
James Pierce Jr., we cannot leave him out. That's a reason to watch when all the accolades he's got in the offseason.
I agree. And this is, I think you can look at this game and determine whether or not Tennessee likes Boo Carter or Christian Harrison at that star position as well. And it's not just who starts. It's who's in there in the middle of the first half when the game's still somewhat in question. Who do they play the most? It's got to be big for Carter. He's from Chattanooga and he's a potential starter. Also, it's important for him to keep his emotions in check, which has been an issue in high school.
Well, I'm keeping my emotions in check now that I don't get to wear smoky gray.
There'll be some flashes of orange on the uniform, though.
Yeah,
Does that
somewhere
help?
they may have some orange.
Power T still on the helmet.
Might be some marketing for those gray jerseys as well, you think?
Anyway, so those are our few reasons why you should stay awake for this potential blowout against UT Chattanooga. Back to you, John.
Thank you, Paige. Folks, if you've got your own Tennessee tailgate going, pick up those cans of Freshie that the guys had on the desk. It's organic tequila seltzer, first of its kind. Check out the reviews online. You'll be happy you did. It's great for your tailgate action. All right, when we come back, Ryan Callahan is going to catch you up on Tennessee recruiting. We've still got the game plan to go through. We've still got all kinds of predictions. Everyone you've seen so far, and still some to come, going to be doing predictions for you. Come on back on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. And as we go to break, here's a look at some numbers from last year that'll help you prepare for what Tennessee may do when they have the ball against Chattanooga today.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville. You hear lots of offers with insane prices, unbelievable trade-in promotions, and crazy gimmicks. But aren't you tired of all that noise? Look, at Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville, our message is simple. We'll beat any dealership's price on any new Kia, no matter who they are, no matter where they are, period. If you don't buy your new Kia on Callahan Drive, you'll pay too much. Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
Safety Systems, East Tennessee's top provider of home automation, security, and life safety systems.
Home and commercial security.
Camera surveillance systems specifically designed for your property. Professional monitoring, complete with emergency and after-hours response and repair. Burglar alarms for all access points. Upgrade your home or business with a single phone call to Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in home and commercial security systems for more than 20 years.
Whether you're watching the big game or your favorite movie, Games and Things is your ticket to the best seat in the house. It's time to get rid of that old, worn-out recliner and replace it with home theater seating from Games and Things. We offer the largest selection of quality seats at the best price in East Tennessee. With an endless variety of styles, configurations, and options, you are sure to find that perfect seat. Stop by Games and Things to upgrade your seats today at the corner of Kingston Pike and Lovell Road. Online at OurGameRoom.com. Games and Things, 'cause life should be fun.
From family heirlooms to sports memorabilia, protect and showcase your treasures with custom frames and shadow boxes, each with a lifetime guarantee. Express Frame in the Common Shopping Center on North Peters Road.
So many people get their insurance through an app these days, but are you getting the best deal, the coverage you need? And when you really need that coverage, who's fighting for you? All insurance is not equal. Trust Chris Smith Insurance.
3 recruits to watch for Tennessee football. Let's start with Tennessee's newest commitment, cornerback Onis Konanbanny out of Columbia, South Carolina. He was actually born in France and most recently lived in the London area. Spent most of his life there before moving to the U.S. a few years ago to pursue a future in football. But for Tennessee's purposes, he's one of the Vols' top targets for a long time. They beat out Florida State to land him a little more than a week ago. Huge pickup there to potentially finish off Tennessee's secondary class. They now have 6 DBs in this class, 4 projected corners, including Konanbanny. So huge pickup there for Tennessee to land him and beat out some good competition to add another cornerback to this class. As we look at the rest of the class, 24 commitments already, so Tennessee doesn't have a lot of work to do, but one of the names they are still pursuing, running back DeJuan Morris, an in-state player from Oakland High School in Murfreesboro. He's committed to USC right now, has been since back in April, but Tennessee circled back to him this summer, has been pretty heavily involved there lately. They're going to continue to pursue him into the season. He actually did suffer an ankle injury recently, but not a significant one, it looks like. So one that he'll probably be back from here in the coming weeks, but regardless, we'll see if that impacts his recruitment at all. But Tennessee's still heavily involved there and definitely pursuing him as it looks to add a second running back to the 2025 class. Looking ahead to the 2026 class, someone here locally to watch, Tyreek King over at Knoxville Catholic, a 4-star wide receiver in the 2026 class, someone Tennessee has been pursuing for a long time. Really covets him at wide receiver, and I think Tennessee's off to a really good start there, so he's definitely someone to keep tabs on this fall as he continues to work through his recruiting process. Still think he's going to take a little bit of time to make a decision, but Tennessee has gotten off to a very good start there and obviously has hosted him on a number of visits to this point. Back to you, John.
Thanks to Ryan Callahan. Normally this segment's called Checking the List. Normally what we do is we take a look at Tennessee's talent level versus the opponent. Well, it's Chattanooga. We're not going to do a big breakdown on position by position the talent on both teams. So instead I want to look at as the season opens, if Tennessee's going to be competing for titles this year, and obviously that's the goal, or playoff run if you want to take it that way, what position groups need to make the biggest step forward? Where do you need to see the most growth in terms of the 2024 Vols? Kevin, I'll start with you.
Yeah, for me, it's a wide receiver core. Ton of big plays in 2022. Especially via Jalen Hyatt, obviously, on his road to win a Blitnikoff. That for me, it's all about replacing talent with talent. So when he leaves, and in 2023, when you're looking at it, the level in the wide receiver room, the level of talent wasn't quite the same. A lot of conversation, a lot of talk about Dante Thornton and what he was going to bring, that it didn't quite work out the way that we heard it might, because there was a lot of buzz coming out last year during training camp.
Yeah.
And I mean, for the amount of buzz and then the overall production, there was a big, a significant gap between the two. So for this year, Dante Thornton gets another year in the system. You bring in Chris Brazzell from Tulane. Squirrel White gets another year in the system. Chaz Nimrod, there's a lot of buzz and a lot of talk about his ascension. So to me, they carry the burden between Nico and the wide receiver core, creating the explosive play again. And on Sunday, you illustrated how the explosive plays offensively did not come in 2023 the way they had in previous years. To me, that's the group that I'm looking at. Kelsey Polk does a heck of a job coaching that group, so I expect them to take a step forward this season.
Yeah, the number you're referencing, we showed it on the Sports Source Sundays at 11, right on the same channel. We talked about the fact that 2 years ago they had 40 pass plays of 30 yards or more. Last year they had 18. Josh Heupel, as an offensive coordinator, ever since he's picked up this system, this Art Briles veer and shoot system, they've always ranked first, second, or third in their conference in terms of those 30-yard pass plays. Last year they ranked 9th. Last year you would think would be the aberration. We'll see. Ollie, as somebody who's been over there, I'll put you on the spot. Which of your former teammate groups needs to improve the most if Tennessee's going to make a run?
I mean, I could start with a couple, but I think the one that almost everybody thinks need to prove themselves is probably going to be that secondary. I think that secondary needs to go out there and show them what they've done to grow over the offseason. Obviously, losing 2 key guys last year, you're going to need to see if that talent, like you said, that talent is being replaced by talent. And if they're able to pick that up and continue moving on into this next year, I think Willie Martinez does a great job of coaching them and getting them right, ready to go. And Coach Banks does a great job as the DC, kind of getting the scheme in and getting everything going. I think moving forward, they need to prove that it's not just the front seven that's going to protect them. They're actually going to be the playmakers as well, because the front seven is going to give them a lot of opportunities to get picks, to make big plays. It's going to be on them to prove that they're going to be the ones to be able to answer the call.
Okay, I'm not going to put you on the spot with this one. Let's talk about his old position, the offensive line. You've had some guys, you've got guys coming back, which is a good thing. It looked for a while like you were having to spend some money in NIL to keep some of those guys. You lose Gerald Mincy, you keep some other guys. You bring in Lance Hurd from LSU, but he was backing up down there. Former 5-star, everybody's expecting the world from him. In terms of that offensive line, Kevin, I still have concerns about what happens if somebody goes down. I don't know what kind of depth they've got. I don't know how much cohesion, how much continuity you've seen on that line in the preseason, because you've had some guys in and out of practice. Your thoughts on the offensive line going into 2024?
Well, John, I'm happy you asked, because the depth chart just came out on Tuesday, and I was like, oh, great. Hey, we get a chance to see Tennessee's depth chart.
Yeah.
News or fake news? I don't know. I'll let you guys be the I'll let you guys be the judge of that.
A lot of oars on there.
Yeah. A lot of oars on there. I guess, here's one thing it did tell me, because with Lance Hurd or Larry Johnson, I'm like, okay, well, Larry could be the next one up. I think we all know that Dane Davis is the 6th lineman, whether it's at center, whether it's at guard, right or left, tackle, right or left. Dane Davis is going to be the next piece coming in. During training camp, that's how it was repped, because I know there's some days when Lance Hurd missed a day or two. John Campbell was limited at times, and Dane Davis was there in his spot. I think the biggest thing is just, we got to keep these guys healthy. If there's an injury, especially 2 up there, then we can have some issues. Now, here's the saving grace. Nico's mobility and his ability to create when things break down with his legs. Think of Russell Wilson, think of Aaron Rodgers, think Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
He's played behind some shoddy offensive lines, and all offensive lines not shoddy.
Yeah,
but if we have 2 injuries, then that changes a little bit. But it'll be interesting to see the growth that Lance Hurd has made in his short period of time. LSU has one of the best offensive lines in the country. They got 2 tackles that are projected to go in the first and second round. So he finally gets his opportunity on Rocky Top. We'll see what it looks like.
The only place I'm really concerned about injuries on the offensive line, after those extra points. It seems like those are very dangerous. Ollie, you used to go down quite a bit there on those extra points. Very good, guys. I think that's excellent. When we come back, we're going to toss it over to the Games and Things Arena, show you yet another new part of our set here. We'll toss it over to the Wise Guys. That's coming up when we come back on the Sports Source.
A day on the lake is more than just time on the water. It's a memory, a story that can last a lifetime. And no one makes memories like Madisonville Marine. Terrific prices, first-class customer service, and the area's biggest selection of boats, like Hurricane deck boats. Perfecting fun on the water for more than 45 years with innovative and incredibly versatile designs. Experience freedom, laughter, and adventure on the water with Hurricane. Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
I see Marco's role in the community as somebody that people can look up to.
Marcos Garza is very thoughtful. He pays attention to the needs of the people in the community.
He's somebody that's very unselfish, somebody that's going to always be there.
Marcos Garza will work as hard as he can to get the best results for you.
In the future, no matter where I'm playing, no matter what the team I'm playing for, I'll always be on Garza's team.
The Garza Law Firm is Mama Zizi approved.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
It's kickoff time in Tennessee.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville, and it's time for you to score the biggest deals of the season. You can get in the end zone with up to $10,000 over KBB value for your trade. And as always, every new Kia comes with Rusty's exclusive 200,000-mile warranty. So draw up the winning play and hurry in today to get up to $10,000 over KBB value for your trade. Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. We are at Rusty Wallace Key on Callahan Drive, where I bought my last 5 vehicles. Folks, we're going to send it right over to the new Games and Things Arena. Boy, they've got places, they got stuff in there that you can put in your own home, turn your house into a fun house. That's what Games and Things does. That's what they've done for us. So we're going to send it over to Josh Ward, Chuck Cavaleris, and Will West for a segment we call The Wise Guys.
Thanks, Sean. Guys, let's dive right in. Week 1's here. No need to waste some time here. SEC football today. We get it. Who's going to go down, though? Who's going to be the biggest loser in the SEC?
Absolutely nobody. And, and I don't mean that to just like for the brand or anything like that with the SEC. I think the specific teams that are actually good that SEC teams are playing, I mean, most of them are playing cupcakes and Chucky Doak and Powell Valley and all of those schools. But I think if you look specifically at the games where quality team versus power conference team, I think the SEC will win all of them. I think Mario Cristobal's not that good of a coach. Florida has better players than Miami. Right. The game's there. I think Florida's going to win that game. Their quarterback has been in the system for multiple years. Miami's hasn't. So while I like Cam Ward better than I like what is going on with Florida right now, I think Florida's going to win that. Then I look at Texas A&M versus Notre Dame.
Right.
they have better talent. Jimbo Fisher is just not a good coach. So now you have Mike
There are
Elko.
5 stars on that roster, Texas A&M.
All over. If you look at the blue chip ratio, they have the 6th best talent from a recruiting standpoint in the nation this year. Mike Elko's not a great coach, but he's a very good coach. He's a high floor coach. And Notre Dame's going to run similar stuff to what A&M does with lesser players at A&M, and I think Notre Dame's going to win.
Yeah.
No, I think the SEC is going to win out this weekend.
If somebody were to stumble, how about this one? South Carolina at home against Old Dominion.
Oh.
You're talking about if South Carolina can start slow.
Gamecocks fans would not be happy with Shane Beamer there.
Even if it's a close game, that's almost like they get their brains beat in.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And Old Dominion has got a decent football team.
That's good.
So if I had to pick, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Other than that, well, I think you're spot on. I mean, LSU, can they stumble a little bit against Southern Cal? You know, we've talked about that. What all LSU has lost, a Heisman Trophy quarterback, 2 top receivers that win in the NFL draft. You're trying to win with a defense that you and I can catch passes.
Yeah. Well, here's the case maybe if LSU were to go the opposite direction in that game is with that defense, they have a new coordinator, they're very excited, but if Lincoln Riley and that offense take off and they have just a couple of drives where they move down the field like teams did last year against LSU, they could be in trouble saying Garrett Nussmeier bail us out like Jaden Daniels at least tried to.
Yeah, and how many times did you watch that? If the blocking breaks down immediately, Jaden Daniels has to run away from him. He's like Jon Snow against the entire army. He's that meme. That's kind of what Jaden Daniels had to do at times last year. I think Nussmeier's better as far as just throwing from the pocket and staying and keeping them on schedule than Jaden Daniels will be, but he's not a guy that's going to run away from 3 defenders and be able to make the off-platform throw.
Right, exactly.
How about a biggest surprise today? Do we have a biggest surprise that you might expect in the SEC?
Well, can Clemson stay with Georgia? I mean, that's a pretty good first game, right? When you're thinking about how Notre Dame, goes to Ireland and what they did to Florida State, and they basically destroyed their season. This is a game where one of these teams, one of the teams that lose, their championship hopes for the national title, they go down to 2 pretty much, to me. If you get that one loss early, especially if it's Clemson and it's in the ACC. So can Clemson hang with Georgia with everything Georgia has, especially if in the second half, Georgia, to me, it can be a tight game at halftime. Georgia can still pour it on in the second half.
Yeah, Will, I want your surprise. This might surprise people, though. 24/7 Sports with their updated team talent, so just who has the best roster in college football, Clemson's number 5 in the country.
Wow.
Team talent.
Yeah.
Now, does that equate to what they need to do in a game? We'll see against what may be the most
Hasn't passed Dabo by now that he's lost his coordinators that won him championships. That's also a big question that I have. I think Georgia specifically where they're good, offensive line, quarterback, front 7 of Kirby. I don't care who you put there. You can put me and Chuck at middle linebacker. Kirby's going to have a strong front 7, right?
Yep.
And we know that secondary strong. So I just think Georgia has too much. But there were games last year, the Mike Bobo, South Carolina game, Missouri game, Auburn game, Georgia Tech game, where he reverted back to old bad habits, and Georgia was lucky to squeak out some of those wins. But then you saw him against Tennessee and in some other games where record-breaking offense, and it just looks like they're an unstoppable juggernaut. So what do you get from a play-calling perspective with Mike Bobo? Because if he goes ultra-conservative like James Franklin in big games in the Big Ten, I think you could see Clemson hanging late. I think my big surprise is that Florida's not going to be a bad football team this year.
Right.
I think they have players, they have talent. Now, that
talked about that way. That doesn't mean they are.
Yeah, that's true. Their talent is good. I don't think Billy Napier, I think he can coach. I just don't know why they haven't been able to put it together, and especially up front. They smoked Tennessee up front. And the week before last year, and the week before, Utah with freshman tackles blew them off the ball. And so you kind of don't know what you're going to get from them. I think that they have a quality quarterback situation. I don't think they're still going to be any better than 6-6 on the year, but I think Florida's going to be good enough to beat Miami, and I think they might beat them by 2 scores. And we're going to overreact to that and projecting for the rest of Florida's season.
Well, let's react. Chuck, I think you have a 3-play parlay for us. Will and I will react to close
how
things
about
out.
this? The Vols minus 42.5 today. And also, we want to go with another game. How about coming up next? I'll go with Georgia minus 14.5.
All right, Tennessee minus 42.5.
Correct.
Which way are you going, Will?
I think that Tennessee will cover the 42.5. This is going to be whatever Tennessee wants it to be, and I think Josh Heupel, he's a nice guy, but I think sometimes he likes to get some style points, so I think they'll get him here.
Okay, I'll take the Mocs, but it's close on that number. I like that. What do you have with Georgia Clemson?
Georgia Clemson, let's make it 14.5, Georgia.
Give me Clemson.
Ooh.
I think they make it a game. Give me Clemson.
I think it feels like one of those, it's a 1-score, 2-score games, and then Georgia pops on another score late that just pulls it away. I'd give me Georgia by 17 covering that 14.5.
Okay.
Third play, the Chuck.
Okay, let's go with Nico passing yards. 270.5.
I'm going to take Nico under. So that's, if we did this as a parlay, I would not take this parlay, but if it is this individual bets, give me those first two. I just think Nico's going to be out of the game by the middle of the third quarter. He better be. This doesn't need to be one of those situations like UAB where Matt Sims is still out there late in the fourth quarter or whatever it might be, and you're carrying him off the field. Nico, they need to do their job. I think Nico gets pulled even under 250 yards.
If I could get Nico and Gaston Moore, I'd go over. But with just Nico, he'll be out of the game too early, and I'll go under. We'll go back to John.
Thank you, Josh. When we come back on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff, Kevin and Ollie are going to get you ready for today's game plan. What is it that Josh Heupel is looking to accomplish today, and how is he going to do it? That's coming on next. Come on back.
Whether you're watching the big game or your favorite movie, Games and Things is your ticket to the best seat in the house. It's time to get rid of that old, worn-out recliner and replace it with home theater seating from Games and Things. We offer the largest selection of quality seats at the best price in East Tennessee. With an endless variety of styles, configurations, and options, you are sure to find that perfect seat. Stop by Games and Things to upgrade your seats today at the corner of Kingston Pike and Lovell Road. Online at OurGameRoom.com. Games and Things, 'cause life should be fun.
Safety Systems, East Tennessee's top provider of home automation, security, and life safety systems.
Home automation.
Our expert technicians can turn your home into a smart home, allowing you to control and monitor everything from lighting and climate to entertainment systems, security systems, and even appliances, all from your phone or tablet. Upgrade your home with a single phone call to Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in home automation for more than 20 years.
Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company, so he became an agent to make sure someone is fighting for you. Shop insurance now. See how Chris can give you peace of mind and save you some money. All insurance is not equal. Trust Chris Smith Insurance.
From works of art to family photos, enhance the beauty and protect your memories with custom frames, museum-quality glass, and guaranteed craftsmanship. Express Frame in the Common Shopping Center on North Peters Road.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville. You hear lots of offers with insane prices, unbelievable trade-in promotions, and crazy gimmicks. But aren't you tired of all that noise? Look, at Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville, our message is simple. We'll beat any dealership's price on any new Kia, no matter who they are, no matter where they are, period. If you don't buy your new Kia on Callahan Drive, you'll pay too much. Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
College football is finally here. You've got a playoff expansion, you've got conference realignments, and you've got some massive week one games. Tennessee and Tennessee Chattanooga is probably not that game that you're thinking of. So what does Tennessee do to go in and play against a team that is an FCS that you're supposed to win big against? Well, the coaches are going to tell you, you got to be ready, you got to prepare, you got to look at them as a formidable foe. And that's really not the case. What it's going to boil down to is your leaders and your captains in the locker room. Those are the guys that set the tone for how to respond and how to prepare for this game. When I first came to Tennessee, the games we were supposed to win, the leaders would come and say, we're going to get you in the game. We're going to let you experience what it's like to play college football and play in Neyland Stadium. Tennessee's leaders and captains need to do the exact same thing. They need to go in, set the tone, set the pace, and let everybody experience what it's like to play in Neyland Stadium. Excited to see what Tennessee does this year, John, but really more importantly, excited to get college football going. Now back to you.
Thanks to former Vol captain Mike Stahl right there. This segment is called What's the Game Plan? And we're going to break down, usually, the game plan. Today, we're going to talk about what Tennessee needs to work on a little bit. It's brought to you by the Garza Law Firm. And if you find yourself in some sort of a legal bind, make sure calling Marcos Garza and the Garza Law Firm is part of your plan. All right, Kevin, in terms of getting this team prepared for the season, and that's what this game is. It's not, you're not opening with a traditional power. This isn't a big game. This is one of those, okay, we got a preseason exhibition type thing, you hope. What are you working on? If you're setting the game plan and you're Josh Heupel, what are you trying to do today? What do you think he'll try to do?
Definitely trying to establish the passing game. When you look at a year ago against Virginia, defense was dominant, some big plays in the run game, and we started on their side of the field, had a couple drop passes, Ramel drops one, right? So the pass game didn't quite get going against Virginia. Tried to establish it in the first half against Austin Peay. Didn't work. 6-3 at halftime. We ended up running the ball. So I think against an FCS opponent, and Tennessee, they beat Austin Peay 24-21 in the playoffs a year ago. It's a similar level of team. The game plan is going to be opening it up, tossing it deep, chucking it to our receivers, and making explosive plays in the pass game.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did completely agree with that. I think it's important to get this pass game going. You know, obviously we never got to a position last year where this thing was actually rolling. And I think it's important for them to start it early, get the kinks worked out as fast as you can, and figure out what's the smoothest operation for this pass game to work. Because, you know, you want to balance it with the run. You want to have the run in there, but you don't want to be as dependent on the run game as we were last year. A lot of the games we went into last year, it was dependent on how good Jalen Wright was going to play that day. And now you don't have Jalen Wright anymore. You still got a really good back in D. Sant, but you don't know all exactly what's going to come behind him because a lot of those guys haven't got a lot of playing time. But you got experience in that wide receiver room. You got talent in that wide receiver room, and now you got a more talented quarterback, hopefully. And so I think what you'll see is they're going to put that investment in the pass game early because, like a Heupel offense, the pass game is very important. And it kind of thrives off of everything that we do and makes the success happen.
When you look at Tennessee last year, and we've done this, you can go back and Heupel's record when his team runs for 4.5 yards or what in a game, it's some insane like 95%. But it's, as you say, that's really a testament to they got up on somebody and were able to do it, as opposed to they got to punch him in the mouth first. In terms of defensively, what are you testing some of your guys? Are we going to see a little bit more man-to-man to see what your guys got today, or do they just do what they do?
No, Tim Banks is going to do what they do. He's going to let the dog.
He doesn't like to take a lot of chances in the back end.
No, sir. And that's why you haven't seen very many young guys in the back end, right? He's always kind of rolled with an older player. And I think that for me, just overall, seeing more young players in the game, you know, will they be able to kind of keep that going? It seems like that's a mantra for Heupel this year, to kind of play some more young pieces in the NIL space, transfer portal, keeping some more guys in the fold and engaged. But I think for Tim Banks and his defense, it's going to be business as usual. Let the dog eat with that defensive front, and let's play solid, together defense, united on the back end.
Safe. Yeah. Safe. They don't like giving. Your
safe
younger,
is good for the secondary.
Exactly. Your younger guys might be able to make some plays, but they've traditionally gone with the veteran guys because younger guys also make busts. Yes. They don't like the busts on the back end. Ollie, your thoughts on the defensive side over there? You've seen the talent improve over the years. Your thoughts on what you've got in the secondary? We mentioned it earlier. You mentioned it earlier as being a question mark. What are you expecting to see from the defense today against an FCS opponent?
No, I mean, I expect to see the defense dominate. You know, obviously, I think everybody does. And, you know, I could sit up here and talk about the front seven all day because there's so much to talk about. They're so talented. Yeah. But that secondary is really going to have to, like you said, they don't want to take chances because you don't want to get burned on the back end. And you lost two big captains for you back there with Tank and Kamal. So, I mean, you're replacing two big guys. You want to see what they're capable of doing. Can they lead? You know, the back end is some of your strong captains of that defense. So can they lead a defense to be successful and make big plays?
All right, very good. All right, when we come back, all the folks you've seen today on this show, well, they're about to give you their predictions for this game. They're going to tell you who's going to win, they're going to tell you by how much, and they're going to tell you why. So get your gambling apps out. When we come back on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff.
For 4 generations, A.G. Heinz Company has been a pillar of the Knoxville community. And since Albert Heinz Sr. opened our doors back in 1920, we've been supplying do-it-yourselfers with revolutionary products and tools. With Nudura insulated concrete forms, your project will be both rock solid and more energy efficient than steel or wood structures. Cutting-edge materials and tools at affordable prices. That's what we've provided for more than a century at A.G. Heinz Company.
A day on the lake is more than just time on the water. It's a memory, a story that can last a lifetime. And no one makes memories like Madisonville Marine. Terrific prices, first-class customer service, and the area's biggest selection of boats like Skeeter bass boats. For more than 75 years, generations of anglers have trusted Skeeter, the best engineered boats on the water. Ensure a smooth, dry, safe trip to your favorite fishing hole. Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
It's kickoff time in Tennessee.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville, and it's time for you to score the biggest deals of the season. You can get in the end zone with up to $10,000 over KBB value for your trade. And as always, every new Kia comes with Rusty's exclusive 200,000-mile warranty. So draw up the winning play and hurry in today to get up to $10,000 over KBB value for your trade. Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
From family heirlooms to sports memorabilia, protect and showcase your treasures with custom frames and shadow boxes, each with a lifetime guarantee. Express Frame in the Common Shopping Center on North Peters Road.
Every Sunday morning, The Sports Source brings you 90 minutes of honest, intelligent Vols coverage. More analysts, more topics, more fun. The Sports Source, Sundays at 11 on WATE TV6 and WATE.com.
Welcome back to Rusty Wallace Key on Callahan Drive and the Saturday Kickoff brought to you by the Sports Source. Back with Kevin Simon and Ollie Lane. We're going to give you our game predictions in a minute. First, nobody's ever done anything like this in East Tennessee television. We're going to have 14 of us give you our score predictions. So get out your gambling apps if you're looking to make a last-second addition. We're about to tell you our score predictions. We call it who, how, and why. Who's going to win? By how much? And we tell you why. It's brought to you by Chris Smith Insurance. He's my insurance guy. You should get in touch with him. He's a farmer's agent. He's also an independent agent, which means if you don't fit with the farmer's program, he'll have another way to help you out. Chris Smith Insurance. Check him out this week. And let's go to who, how, and why.
I'm picking Tennessee 52-13. I think that Nico Iamaleava in his first start at Neyland Stadium is going to have a field day against a Chattanooga team that ranked only 7th last year defensively in the Southern Conference.
I'll take Tennessee to win 52-10. I think the Vols get up big early. I think maybe slow going in the second half.
I'll say 55-10. I just think Tennessee's going to start fast and pour it on, and we'll see if they can score that 3 touchdowns in the first quarter.
62-3 Tennessee. Josh Heupel in games like this likes to blow people out when he has the opportunity to. Plus, Tennessee needs to work on their kicking so they'll run up the score to get those extra points.
Chattanooga is a pretty good FCS team, and Austin Peay did give Tennessee some trouble last year, but I think the Vols win this one running away. I think 52-10 for the final score. Nico Iamaleava makes this a much more explosive offense. The receivers are better. The defensive line is really good. Just too much for Chattanooga to hang around and make this much of a game.
This one should be simple for the Vols, but Chattanooga is one of the better teams in the FCS. Still give me the Vols 52-14 because Tennessee's passing game takes care of Chattanooga's squad that is replacing its corners, something I think Josh Heupel and his deep receiver room will feast against.
John, my prediction for the game, Tennessee's going to win big. They should. It's UT Chattanooga. 55-10 will be my score. I think not so many passing plays, but I think they will run the ball well. I think Chattanooga sneaks a field goal in the first half, maybe a late touchdown, but it's going to be Tennessee all the way, winning big.
I think Tennessee's going to win this game. They're going to overwhelm Chattanooga the entire time. I'm going to predict a final score of 59-10, touchdown field goal somewhere there for Chattanooga. But really, the offensive line led by Cooper Mace and their tempo is just really going to overwhelm Chattanooga.
I'm going to go with the score a little bit higher because I think if you look at all this potential young talent that Tennessee's accumulated, they're going to get to play more. They're going to be able to score more. So I'm going to go over 60 and say 64-10.
Take the over in this one by a little bit. I think it's going to be 55-10. And you're going to see at least one non-offensive touchdown, whether it's Boo Carter on an exciting punt return or the defense coming through with a big score. So, yeah, I think Tennessee wins, and that D-line is going to be too tough for Chattanooga.
I think the score that matters at half is going to be 35-0 because I think Tennessee's going to play well at a high level. And I'm going to play off what Bob said, the younger players. I've drank the Kool-Aid. I do believe the younger players are better, especially in the secondary, than what Tennessee has had previously. So final score, I'll give UTC 3 field goals. I'm going to call it 63-9.
Wow. Thanks to all those folks for their predictions. My prediction, I'm going to take Tennessee 51-13. I don't think the Mocs can hang with Tennessee for very long as an FCS foe. At the same time, they got a good passing attack. And this Tennessee secondary, it's unproven. You got a lot of guys playing together for the first time today. So I think the Mocs should be able to put a few points on the board today. I heard a lot of predictions of 3 and 6 points. I'll go 13. We'll see what the other guys say here. Kevin Simon, what's your prediction?
49-6. Tennessee feel like Nico sets the tone with the wide receivers for 2024 to get us back scoring at a prolific rate like years past.
Ollie?
Yeah, I think somewhere similar along those lines. I think it's going to be 49-14 Tennessee. I think Chattanooga's obviously got some stuff. They've been working just as hard as everybody else, and so I think they'll put some stuff out there. But at the end of the day, just Tennessee's too powerful, and they're going to overpower this FCS foe.
All right, as we count down to kickoff here, let's close out with all the talk about the $8 million man. Everybody's excited about Nico, of course. You were over there with the guy.
Mm-hmm.
When he arrived, he had every reason in the world to come in and act like he was the favorite son and had been handed to him. By all accounts, that was not the case. Tell me about Nico, the person, Nico, the team, the team leader, the guy who got respect.
Yeah, no, I mean, Nico came in and he understood that there was still someone ahead of him at the time. He understood that he was going to have to take his role and step back a little bit. He's not going to come in and be the immediate star. He had to work for it, and I think he's done that. He's taken it with grace. He understood that he had to work to be in the position that he's in now to get here. And he knows there's more work to get to where he wants to go. He understands that within the workings of the team, he's got to make a name for himself with everybody. He has to put his name out there for leadership-wise to show people that he can be an example to follow. And I think he's done a lot of that, and he's going to continue to do that throughout the season. It's not going to be perfect day one, but I think you look through the end of the season, I think we're going to be very happy with how Nico performs.
As someone who was over there, are you excited about him taking over with the offense?
Yeah.
Do you think the offense is going to take a step forward this year?
I think he'll be able to bring that offense to the next step where we kind of took a step back last year. I think he might even take 2 steps to get us back on track of where we should be. So,
Kevin, as a former NFL scout, talk to me about Nico's talent level. He's not only the arm and accuracy, he's also got the legs. He can play off platform a little bit. He can keep plays alive, which I think might help you get back to that big play status you lost last year. Talk to me about Nico's talent level.
So when you talk about Nico, he has all the prototypical traits, size that you look for, but he has little man's feet. His ability to elude, his ability to escape, and his ability to create when things break down. His accuracy, not only from the pocket, but also with outside the pocket, rolling to his right or his left. These are things that set him on another level from most guys that you'll see. Really excited to see what he'll get done in 2024.
Ollie Lane, Kevin Simon, thanks both of you. We'll see you all year long right back here at Rusty Wallace Key on Callahan Drive. And we'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. on WATE 6. We begin year 22 of the Sports Source, so thank you for that. Stay right here on Channel 6 after today's ball game. Well, you can stay here for Georgia Clemson next. Go watch the Vols. I know you're going to. Then kick it back over here and watch Channel 6 coverage. Break the knob off because we'll be here tomorrow morning. See you then, and thanks for watching.
The Sports Source Saturday Kickoff is presented by Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville on Callahan Drive and by the Garza Law Firm.